welcome back to another episode of Grow Up, the show where I help you connect with childhood experiences in order to better understand our adult worldview. I am your host, Fernannd'O, and today we will be talking about hidden insecurities, how we're going to navigate those unexpected moments of self-doubt. But before we dive into that, remember to share, like, and subscribe to the show. And wherever it is that you listen to the podcast, follow us so that you don't miss on any new uploads. So, are we starting straight up? And the dogs are at it. It's not going to be as loud today. I don't think it will because it's daytime, so it shouldn't be as loud as the other time. Last week was very scary. Okay, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I was like listening to the show back, and I was very scared. Okay, like, and I genuinely thought that I was about to be attacked. Okay, but I wasn't. I survived. Why? Because I'm the shit. So generally in life, we go through moments where we might, I would say, we generally have an idea of our insecurities. Okay. If you are like me, you're introspective, you know what things you're insecure about. Maybe it might be that you are not secure about your body, or the way that you speak, or the way that you look, or the way that you cook. There are those insecurities that we know for a long time we live with. Now, I've recently come across a situation that has actually brought an insecurity of mine that I didn't consider an insecurity, but apparently it is an insecurity of mine. So I'm going to backtrack with you a little bit to my childhood. All right. As you all know, and also mentioned it last week, that I had Stephen Johnson syndrome. And this is the disease that basically got me to having visual impairment. And in that moment, I didn't understand the impact of that change in my life. Okay, so I didn't consider losing my eyesight or having super scarred skin or not growing nails super challenging. It wasn't necessarily an insecurity of mine. I would say maybe my nails not growing was a problem. Being a girl, being a teenager, you want to do your nails, you want to fit in with the cool kids, and you can't. I remember I would try and go do my nails at the salon, but it was just not viable because they would fall off, or, the fake nails, or it would hurt. And I don't know. I just didn't. And I quickly let go of that. One thing that I will say is that I have been a child that did face a lot of insecurity, especially with regards to my intelligence, my ability to cope, my ability to do some schoolwork to a caliber that's acceptable. Let me open for my dog. So I had very serious doubt or self doubt with regards to my ability to perform. I wasn't very good in sports, like I've said many times. I wasn't very strong academically, so I was generally a shy, insecure child. I would think that my Stephen Johnsons would have made me more insecure, but something about it, and I would say maybe going into the school that I went to, where there were a lot of kids like me, not necessarily children that have had Stephen Johnson syndrome, but children with visual impairment, children that saw worse than what I did, or children that saw better than I did, children with albinism, children with other learning disabilities, children on wheelchairs. I got to experience a whole array of children who were like me in a way, right? And we grew up together, and my insecurities were not very clear. My family dynamic wasn't very toxic in that regard either. I think the biggest concern there was my academic my academic ability. How capable would I be? Would I pass? Because I remember they got me tutors. All right, all right, all right, all right, all right. No leaking. So they got me tutors, they got me a psychiatrist at some point, or a psychologist, occupational therapist, because of my difficulties with learning and reading and writing and spelling and so forth. So there was an expectation at home for me to be a high achiever, but I don't think I took that to heart so much. But I grew out of that, and I don't think a lot of it came to light up until recently, where back to this incident that I spoke of, that I I moved to Rustenburg, to a different city in South Africa, and the climate is super dry, and it has affected my eyesight tremendously. I struggle to see, and I realized recently that the things that I wasn't concerned about, that I couldn't do because of my visual impairment, are now starting to become a problem. I started to feel self-conscious about not being able to drive and do certain things for my son, because also now being in a new city, our routine and every, don't lick me, I don't like being licked. Our routines had changed, and what my husband would do wasn't necessary. He didn't have the same availability as we did before in Joburg, you know. So then I started to understand that I'm actually feeling a lot this way, because I'm starting to feel frustrated that I cannot see, that I'm not able to do certain things for my child, and that my dependency on people has increased a lot. Before, I used to rely on my husband. Now I think we rely on a lot more people, and because we don't want to be a burden, or I don't want to be a burden to people or so forth, it becomes very challenging for me to maneuver, man, to accept the situation for what it is. So understanding that I probably would have to learn again how to deal with blindness and so forth was very, it is what brought me to actually talk to you about this today. How can we manage hidden insecurities that we've probably suppressed or probably thought we didn't have, but here they are. They are facing us. What are we going to do? So that is basically that is me taking you back down memory lane. We're going to talk about confronting these hidden insecurities. What are we going to do about it? Because now that we understand that we have these insecurities, how can we confront them? Firstly, we need to achieve a deeper understanding and acceptance of our insecurities. That's step number one. How do we do that? We need to practice introspection. It's very important to be an introspective human being, because I mean, that is how you recognize these struggles. That is how you recognize these insecurities. And if you are not introspective, if you don't sit and reflect and try to understand yourself, you will go by very frustrated without being able to recognize why you are feeling this way. And you'd find that had you taken a moment to just reflect and analyze yourself, you'd recognize that there's something off. You feel a certain way at a certain time. Then you have to recognize your inner voices in different times. There are times where your inner voice is super negative. There are times where it's super positive. You need to recognize when that is happening, and understand why it's happening. When you're insecure about something, I know that for the most part, for example, when I need my son to go somewhere and at that time there's nobody available and we have to cancel him going somewhere, then I start to self deprecate. My inner dialogue is very negative. It's of how incompetent, how useless, how worthless I am, because I mean, maybe I could try and do something else, work a little bit harder. Fine, I can't necessarily do anything about my eyesight, but I can maybe work harder in terms of like in being more financially capable of creating a form of independence for myself, so that I don't need to rely on anyone to take care of my child in the way that I want to take care of my child. And I recognize that that type of rhetoric always comes to me whenever I'm not able to do something for my son specifically. Another time I have super negative thoughts is when I want to tackle a project, when I need to talk to people, and I get so scared, I get so paralyzed, I feel so terrified. You wouldn't say because of how much I talk, but I'm very petrified of people and approaching people and talking to people, because now I have to speak with confidence and conviction. And many of the times when I approach people, I have no idea how I'm going to get something done. I just have this confidence that I will, or belief that I will get it done. All I need to do is convince this person to buy into my vision. But how do I convince them? Then I get self-doubt. Can I even convince them? Do they see through my doubt? Do they see through my insecurity? And that becomes very, very scary and paralyzing. And I will admit that I miss out on a lot of opportunities. I lag behind a lot because of that. So I recognize when I have that type of negative self talk, and good times as well. Every time I achieve a goal, every time I conquer a fear, I always hype myself up. I always feel so proud of myself. And I always have, like, yeah, man, you see, you shouldn't have doubted yourself. You're capable of doing it. You should have just gone through with it, and so forth. And that is how I recognize in what moments do I speak well to myself and in what moments do I not speak well for myself. You also need to analyze your response to criticism, because right now we are learning to face and recognize our insecurities. So analyze how you respond to criticism. I've spoken about this in previous episodes where I don't like to be criticized, and I don't like to be criticized in a field by somebody who is not in that field. And it's very irrational, but it stems from insecurity. It stems from the idea that this person who does not even do what I do is able to see my flaw. No, boy, no, this dog. Should hear your mic. So the person who doesn't do what I do is able to see my flaws and see where I failed, and that just makes things feel so much more painful for myself. So I don't do very well with criticism, and I need to analyze why. And I know that a lot has to do with my insecurity. And how I've seen also with criticism is many times when people point out something about my son, his appearance or how he's dressed or something, I feel like, man, is it because I didn't see properly? And all of that starts to like come forward again. So I'm very, very aware and able to analyze. No, no, no. I'm not good with criticism. And then lastly, you have to accept that you're not immune to envy and jealousy. And this one is difficult because for the most part, we don't want to be viewed as jealous people or insecure. We don't want to be seen as somebody who looks at other people and compares themselves to what somebody else is, or whoever that other person might be. You want to view yourself as a secure and confident and competent person in who you are. And once you realize that, no, sometimes you might feel a sense of envy, a sense of jealousy towards that person. It just feels so bad. But you're not the only one. I think most of us go through this. It's just such a negative connotation to the idea of jealousy that it's not good, or it's not well received when you recognize this feeling, or when you even voice that, what, I might be feeling jealous of that person. What's up, boy? Do you want to go outside? He's gonna come back. So, jealousy and envy is something that is normal, but also it's not unique to you. We all go through that, and it does enhance insecurity and that feeling of or lack of self-worth. So, don't hide from these. And now we have to also deal with navigating and transforming our hidden insecurities. So, first off, you have to recognize your own insecurity. So, again, you need to point out your insecurity. You do introspection, you sit and you do some form of self reflection. And now you need to be able to pinpoint, what am I insecure about? Like I mentioned, for me, sometimes it's my eyesight, sometimes it's my ability to do things. And after you get that, you need to challenge yourself doubt with action. Once you recognize that I'm insecure about this thing, what can I do? What can I actively do? Ugh, dog hair. What can I do to improve the view of myself? What can I do to improve my the what I think I'm capable of doing? So you're gonna challenge your self doubt with actions. Once you do that, you need to Remember this one. You always need to strive to be the best. Always strive to be the best. No, I'm lying. You need to strive to always do better than last time. I was jumping ahead of myself. Strive to always do better than last time. Why? Because this shows progress, it shows growth, it shows that you're not stagnant, it shows that you are learning and improving. So, whatever it is that you're insecure about in that moment, you can grow out of that because you've improved out of that insecurity. And then use the negative feeling as fuel to be the best. So use that envy, use that jealousy to amp yourself up and say, you know what, I can beat that person. I had this conversation with a friend last week about how to get that fire going. And I found that a lot of the times men do actually take negative experiences, whether it's heartbreak or disappointment, specifically heartbreak most of the time, and betrayal, and they turn that into fire, into I'm going to show you, into competition, because they don't ever want to be taken for granted, right? So I think there's something to that. So if you feel jealousy, if you feel envy, take that and turn that into motivation and energy for you to be the best at what you want to do, and not feel like you're incapable of achieving. You're just on a different timeline. As people say, we all have our own time zones. So don't feel like it's crazy to take that and convert that into something more productive. Use that as fuel and get out there and be the best that you can be at what you do. And after that, now you need to learn to navigate out of your comfort zone and you need to embrace discomfort. So, first, you need to put yourself in uncomfortable situations. This might mean doing the uncomfortable thing that challenges that particular insecurity. Because remember, we recognize what the insecurity is. Now that we recognize or we pinpoint what it is, now we need to use that and put ourselves in a position to conquer that. So you have to put yourself in an uncomfortable situation. For me, would maybe be I need to start going out by myself more and do things alone more and not always have assistance with me, because then I'll feel a bit more competent and independent in that sense, not feel that that idea that I'm so dependent and so incapable of doing things for myself. So I need to put myself in more uncomfortable situations in order to break out of that insecurity of my eyesight getting worse. Understand that failure is inevitable. So it is a part of the journey. It does not define who you are. Failure is how we grow. Failure is just a part of growth. It's a part of improvement. It does not define you. And many times we misconstrue failure and we take that as a character trait. It's not. You're not a failure. We need to stop even describing ourselves as failures. Look at the experience as, oh, okay, I didn't succeed in this, and then learn why you didn't succeed. What didn't you do right? What could you have done better? Lesson. Turn your failures into lessons and recognize that you are not your failure. This is the crucial thing that you need for self improvement. And then remember that the further up you go, the harder it is. And that's when your insecurities might be augmented as well, because the harder time you have with something, the more insecure you feel for the most time. So it's inevitable that you're going to feel insecure because now you're going to face new challenges. You beat this one challenge and then you get up there and then you find another challenge. So don't feel like you are either a failure or that you're incapable, but recognize that you are in a better position today than you were last week based on the growth and the mindset shift that you've applied to yourself. And that now you're facing a different type of challenge that is going to reveal some other form of insecurity. And if it's not supposed, and remember that it's also not supposed to be easy. This is not an easy journey for anyone, and that you have to just face your demons as you go. You have to recognize that times are going to be hard, situations are going to be hard and challenging. People are going to doubt you, they're going to question you. It's not meant to be easy. Nobody said it would be. And you just have to face your demons as you go and, accept them for what they are. And then it's important also for you to share your insecurities with a trusted somebody. Find somebody that you trust and share your challenges, share your struggles. Because again, anytime you include somebody who cares about you, they are going to reveal something about you that you might not have recognized. Somebody's going to turn that insecurity upside down and can turn that into something so positive, especially somebody who wants to see you win, somebody that you trust. So that's how we're going to deal with recognizing and confronting our insecurities. And now you need to liberate yourself from the shackles of judgment, how to overcoming insecurity and societal expectations. So break free from societal expectations that contribute to to your insecurity. For women, a lot of the time, it's the idea that you need to be married, that you need to have children, that you need to have a husband or whatever at a certain age. Break free from those ideologies and recognize that all these things come with time. You cannot be a mother if you don't have an ability to provide for your child emotionally or financially. You cannot be a wife if you don't have a healthy and suitable partner for you. You cannot be a career woman if you didn't do the investment of studying. So the idea that you have to do certain things at a certain time is very, 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 very relative to who you are. It's relative to where you are, where you are from. But for the most part, based on how society is shaped and how we are evolving, I don't think there's really that big of a need to feed too much into these ideologies. If it's not what you want to do, don't do it. If you're not ready to do something, don't do it. Make sure that you're prepared. Make sure that you are not racing against any clock that is set to you by an external factor other than yourself. Redefine the definition of success and failure to overcome insecurity linked to external validation. So a lot of the time we feel like because I didn't achieve this, people are going to think this. Because I didn't do this, people are going to think that. So you need to redefine for yourself what is success, what is failure, and break away from these things requiring external validation. Because people, I'll tell you just now, not even just now, right now, okay? People are never, ever going to be happy for you. No matter what, people are never satisfied. Hold on. Yeah, so remember that people will never, ever be satisfied if they're not rooting for you. There's nothing you can do to please people that are not happy for you or happy with anything that you do. So that idea that you can please somebody's idea or expectation of you, you need to get that out of your head, because you can never please these people. And that is something that I myself had to learn to do, because no matter what I do, there will always be criticism. People will always criticize who I am, what I do. But yeah, so break free from external validation. Okay, boost your self esteem with a solid foundation for overcoming your insecurities. So it's very important for you to think highly of yourself, to have positive opinions of yourself, to think very, very positively of yourself. Because if that foundation is not there, if you don't have some form of base of a positive view or positive self view, it is very easy for these insecurities to creep in and to just drag you back down to that pit of self doubt and self hate, and to let you also take what other people think of you or other people expect of you and internalize that. So remember that it's very important, no matter how little it might be, no matter how thin the layer is, you need some form of foundation, of a solid idea of who you think of how you think of yourself in a positive light, so that you can refer back to that whenever you feel this way. Because I find that many times when I feel down or whatever, I can just go back, but what do I think of myself? I actually believe this thing about myself. And you need to have that solid foundation of yourself. Otherwise, everybody's going to be able to throw you off, and you will never be able to bring yourself back on track. Your individuality is crucial and challenging insecurities related to fitting in or conforming. Your individuality is crucial when it comes to you fitting in or conforming. So you need to have a very solid sense of identity. So you have a solid foundation as to a positive view of yourself. But who are you? You need to develop that. You need to cultivate your identity so that you don't just follow the wind like a piece of paper, or you just don't go as you where the wind blows. You don't go, because you have some rooted sense of identity. You have a rooted sense of values that you can refer to, that you can relate to, that you can say that no, my person does not do 1, 2, and 3 and 4, so that you can shift yourself away from the idea or fall away from the trap of conformity, and then redirect your energy towards personal development instead of comparison. As soon as you see yourself comparing yourself to someone, which we all do, that idea of jealousy, that we don't want to read comparison as jealousy, when you do that, redirect that energy to self-development and self-improvement. Like, okay, that person has done that. Where am I lacking, and how can I improve myself to achieve what I want to achieve and to be where I feel that person is? So it's very important for you to be able to redirect negative self-talk and negative energies or negative ideas in order to cultivate a positive sense of self, and in order to convince yourself that you are able to break out of these insecurities. Number 4, now we're going to talk about the comparison trap, okay? And how you're going to navigate the maze of self comparison and rewrite the narrative of insecurity. The comparison trap is also one that really does throw us off a lot of the time. That's why I think for the most part we feel a certain way. I would say, oh, it sucks that I can't do this for my child because I'm comparing myself to the mom that is able to do 3 and 4 for their child. It sucks that I'm not able to do this in my career because I'm comparing myself to 1, 2, and 3 person who's able to do that. So the idea that comparison does not stem from that insecurity does not stem from comparison is flawed. I really believe that a lot of the insecurity stems from that. We are comparing our inability to do things based on somebody else's ability to do the exact same thing. So remember that comparison distorts the perception of yourself and it amplifies your insecurities. So because now you're comparing yourself to the next person, you forget your situation, you forget your how can I put it? I'm comparing myself to a mom that can drive. It doesn't add up. I cannot drive. I'll never be able to drive. And it's distorting the perception of myself and it's enhancing my insecurity. The reality is I'll never be able to drive because of my eyesight. And because of that, I need to find ways to be able to provide for my son in another way and not compare myself to a driver. There are other things that I can do for my child. Do you understand what I'm saying? So comparison amplifies insecurities and it distorts the idea of yourself. So you always have to remember that once you're finding yourself comparing to someone else, you need to recognize, oh wait, let me see, who am I in this moment in comparison to that person? Why am I not able to do this? And then you can very quickly realize that no matter how much you wish, no matter how much you envy, you will probably not be able to do that because of who you are, where you are, your situation, and so forth. Develop self-awareness to help break free from the habit of comparison. So it's very important, again, to recognize that you are in a moment where you are comparing yourself to somebody else. You need to have enough self-awareness for that. You can never be in denial when dealing with insecurities and when you want to break out of insecurities. You need to be super honest and very open with yourself. So break free from comparison by having a strong sense of self-awareness. Appreciate your own journey and accomplishments without comparison. Do something, appreciate what you've achieved, and don't say, yeah, I did it better than that person. And that is something that I feel we all have. And it's something that I found myself doing. And you realize that it's actually very toxic. It's not helpful, because now you start to nitpick and say, like, no, hers was better this way, but mine was better that way. You're not just living in your own accomplishment and in your journey. You're doing it at the expense of comparing your achievement to somebody else. And to an extent, you're not even giving yourself enough credit or any for the hard work that you have done, because you're too busy thinking on how that other person did and how you did better in comparison to that person. And you always find something that you will feel like they might have done better than you, and that's not going to feel good. So learn to celebrate your own achievements, learn to enjoy your own journey without comparing these to anyone else. So shift from a scarcity mindset to an abundant mindset. Stop thinking about what you don't have and think about what you have and what you are yet to attain. Don't think about what you don't have. This one I had to learn as well. It doesn't help to wallow over the things that I don't have. If I want them, I can work towards them. But if I'm not even going to work towards them, let me focus on what I have. And you realize very quickly how abundant your life is and how much you have. And why? Because you've achieved those things. You've overcome all the insecurities that at a point were prohibiting you from achieving this sense or from achieving your goals. And you have stuff because you did it. That is living in abundance. That's recognizing that, whoa, I can't believe how far I've come. I cannot believe how far I'm yet to go, but damn, I really worked hard and I can do it. I'm capable. So don't focus on what you don't have. Take some time to recognize what you have and to be grateful for what you have. Explore the power of collaboration to dismantle comparison. This is very good, because now when you work with other people, you need to recognize one thing. You don't have everything. You're not capable of doing everything alone. Some people are better at painting, other people are better at drawing. Just because you have some idea of painting doesn't mean that as a drawer, huh? Do you call them drawers? As a drawer, as a drawer, because he's a painter. And a person that draws, but as that person, you can't draw. Sorry, you can draw super well, but you can't paint to the level of somebody who's experienced in painting. Collaborating with that person will give you a much more fulfilling product, and you'll feel so good to have worked with somebody that elevated your art in that moment. So dismantle the idea of comparison by working with others. Collaborate with other people. See how other people can fulfill the things that you're not able to do, because we cannot do everything. It's not possible. Okay. Even if you look back in the hunting times or whatever, I believe that people had tasks and people were in charge of different roles in the hunting party. So one person cannot have the capabilities and the abilities to do everything without any help or any support. Number 5, we're going to evolve through challenges, embracing the discomfort of growth and conquering insecurity. First, we have to reframe challenges as opportunities for transformation. Any challenge you face, this is a chance for you to grow and to do better and to be better. It's not the end. It's not an obstacle. It's not something that's here to stop you. It's something that's here to boost you, to improve your self-worth, to improve your talent, to improve your self-esteem, to improve the view that you have of yourself, to add on to that foundation of values that you have. So anytime you encounter a challenge, recognize that as the best and the best thing that you could face in that moment, because when you come out of that, you're going to be a lot better. This is the moment for transformation. Okay. Build resilience to navigate difficult experiences, to reduce the impact of new insecurities. If you're not resilient, you will always be knocked down by self doubt. So you have to build resilience in order for you to be able to navigate the moment when new insecurities arise. This happens and it will always happen. And especially when we move forward, when we start new things, new projects, we meet new people, We go to new places, you will face new insecurities. And if you're not a resilient person, you will crumble and you'll be left behind. And when I say you'll be left behind, I mean it. Because remember, for as much as we are trying to not be a comparing person, but that's what we do. Inevitably, we compare ourselves with others. And you'll find yourself having stayed in the same place and found that the person that was right beside you is far gone, right? And that's because you had zero sense of resilience. So be resilient, my friend. Don't hold back. You got to build that sense of resilience, because if you're not a resilient person, you will be very frustrated and you'll be worn out and you'll just miss out. So, number 6, you need to embrace authenticity in order to unleash your true self and cultivate confidence. Confidence, I'm learning now, that might be the cure for a lot of things, even if it's false, even if it is a false sense of confidence, but it's something that you can boost yourself off of. It's something, it's a stepping stone. So you first need to accept and embrace your imperfections to help build your confidence, meaning recognizing what you're able to do, recognizing what you can't do, recognize what you have control over, recognize what you have zero control over, recognize that you are flawed, recognize that you're not perfect, that you are somebody that can learn and improve. This will give you so much confidence in your ability to grow, because if you don't have at least that sense, I don't know if this noise translates to the microphone. My neighbor has the most annoying dog that sounds like it's being beaten every time. It's a little sausage. I don't know why he does this, but he sounds so distraught every single time. I don't know. It's crazy. But yeah, so deal with imperfections, accept your imperfections, because when you recognize that there's room for improvement, that's when you grow. That's when you tackle more challenges and more opportunity for you to grow. Align with your core values to contribute to a stronger sense of self. So remember, when we were talking about building your self-esteem, and we're also talking about that sense of individuality. You also need to have a core of values. You need to have some things that you will never compromise to, that you will never bow down to, because you are above it. We don't always have to be humble. There are things that we are above. We are above humiliation. We are above desperation. We are above what negativity, or whatever it might be for you. You know, for me, I'll even say humiliation and desperation. I will never give somebody the benefit of seeing me in a desperate or in a humiliating situation. I refuse. I'm above that. So I have a set core of values that protect me and remind me that, oh, I'm better than this. So I need to build a stronger sense of self in order for me to have a good sense of self esteem. Recognize and leverage your strengths to confront and conquer insecurities. The same way that we have to recognize where our flaws are, the same way that we have to recognize our strength, our insecurities, we also have to recognize the positive in us. We are not just made up of imperfection. There's also some cool ass shit about us. So recognize what is strong about you. Where do your strengths lie? Sometimes I wonder, I haven't really thought about it, but I wonder if insecurities have like a parallel esteem situation. Like if I'm insecure about one, I'm secure about this. I wonder if they kind of feed off of each other, in that I'm confident generally that I can make certain things happen without knowing how I'm going to make them happen. But I'm very uncomfortable, or I'm very is it unconfident? The English, guys. I'm confident in one thing and I have no confidence in my ability to convince somebody to buy into my vision. Those are the two things. I'm confident that I can make shit happen without knowing how I am going to do it, but I am not confident in my ability to convince somebody to buy into my vision and be like, okay, cool, go make it happen, and leave me to go and do the thing. So I wonder if your self-esteem or insecure, whatever, you get what I'm saying, if they like in feed off of each other. But either way, recognize your strengths within that. Recognize where your strengths lie so that you can also dip into that pocket of strengths and be like, oh, yeah, I'm good at one, two, and three. I can actually do this and feel confident again in your ability to overcome challenges and to build a new sense of self esteem. Practice mindset, practice mindset shifts that can help develop unwavering self belief. Unwavering self belief is again something that I am learning to milk. Okay. I need to really get to a point where I have this unwavering self belief. And I need to develop tools and systems where I will shift my mindset to say that, hey, you don't cry because one, two, and three. Or hey, you don't quit because one, two, and three. You're able to do this. There needs to be a way that we can develop mindset shifts that will harness or harvest that unwavering self belief. Because once you have that, nobody can tell you anything. No matter how unlikable you might sound in that moment, but nobody is going to convince you otherwise because you have unwavering self belief. You have unwavering confidence in your ability to conquer this challenge, in your ability to beat the situation and to come out on top. And nothing can suppress insecurity more than that unwavering self-belief, because it gives you an opportunity to counteract the negative talk in your head. As soon as you start saying, oh, I can't do this, or I feel like this, or I feel like that, then this guy comes in and it's like, enough. I don't think you recognize who you're dealing with. Do you remember that one, two, and three is what we're able to do? Okay. So let's go. Get out of here, negative thoughts. And you just have to lean into that belief that you are unbeatable and that you are going to make shit happen and that nobody can stop you, not even yourself, especially not yourself. Last point, number 7. These are some ideas that I think we can implement, actionable ideas that we can implement to encompass everything in terms of recognizing our insecurities, how to build self-esteem, how to build a positive sense of self, and so forth. So number 7, we are going to learn how to cultivate mindfulness and empowering powerful growth. So we're going to harness the power of mindfulness, set goals, take action, and overcome insecurities. So to do that, first we have to develop mindfulness and self-awareness to help detach from insecurities. If you can take a moment to breathe, to sit with yourself and feel what you're feeling and try to identify what is making you feel this way, why you're feeling insecure, what that insecurity is. If you're able to give yourself that ability to develop some form of self awareness, it will give you a chance to start to work on breaking that. So it's very important to first and foremost be very reflective, be introspective, have a moment of stillness to recognize what is happening to you and why it is happening to you and what it is that you can do about it. And then you need to cultivate self validation and detach yourself from seeking validation from others. Like I said, insecurities for the most part stem from comparison and looking at what other people are doing and where they are, and us feeling jealous or feeling a sense of envy towards these people. So you need to cultivate a positive idea of yourself. You need to cultivate a sense of self validation. You need to be good enough for yourself before you can accept what anyone outside of yourself says about you. I'm not too big on talking about, the mindfulness, meditation, or what so, but I feel like there's some truth or some points to it that you can use to help yourself navigate these difficult moments and moments of stillness and moments of reflection, and also working on building a positive sense of self can be very powerful and very instrumental in helping you break these shackles of undiscovered insecurities or whatever. Okay, this one has been a huge game changer for me, and it's new. Embracing the present moment and let go of the past or future worries. You know, I've really learned to do this. I've been very intentional this year about living today, taking the moment to reflect and be grateful and be happy with where I am right now, and not worry too much about what I didn't do, and not to worry about what I still have to do, but just look at what I have achieved thus far and just bask in it. It is so rewarding to do that. It is so empowering to do that. I think there's something about it that does boost your self esteem. So I would encourage you to do this once a day. Just take a moment to sit and just think about, how was today? What did I do today? How did I spend my day today? And take in that todayness. And you'll feel so proud of the little things that you've achieved. It's a very effective exercise to do. And it does help build some form of self-esteem, because you find that there are little things that you do every day that you don't give yourself credit to for ever. But when you sit and you're like, what did I do today? I did this and I did that. Was I happy? Oh, I did this so well. And you start to recognize how capable and competent you are. And that sense of insecurity starts to fade away a little bit. And then something a little bit more actionable outside of the mindset is to set specific goals to focus your energy and take steps towards beating those specific insecurities. So we talk a lot about goal setting here, but if you have something specific that you're trying to overcome, set goals specifically targeted at that insecurity. If you're worried about rejection, do things that tackle that. Maybe you do cold calls for your business, or maybe go out and just, I don't know, don't talk to strangers. But just whatever it might be, challenge that insecurity by setting goals that are literally deliberately targeted at overcoming those insecurities. And then acknowledge and celebrate your progress in overcoming these insecurities. So anytime that you have done something that works towards that insecurity and you win, celebrate yourself. Celebrate yourself. Acknowledge that, wow, I did this. Because when you can recognize what you have defeated, you won't have to fight that battle again. But if we just go through life without acknowledging our progress, without acknowledging anything, you won't even recognize that you've been through something before. So take a moment to acknowledge that, oh, I used to be shy, but I'm not shy anymore because I did one, two, and three. Wow, good job. Well done, me. Very important to do that, because once you beat that, now you're ready to tackle the next thing. And you find that some things are similar. Oh, how can I beat this thing that is similar to my previous insecurity? And then embrace continuous learning and develop a growth mindset, and have a lifelong commitment to self improvement. And I think this is just the best way to close this off, because if you don't have any desire to improve, if you don't have any desire to recognize that you are somebody that still has a lot to learn, you don't know everything yet, you don't have it all under control, and you probably won't for a very long time or ever. If you're not willing to embrace a learning mindset, then none of this matters, does it? You must just sit and wallow in your insecurity. But yeah, make a commitment to lifelong self improvement. Because if you're committed to that, once you find that you're in a situation where you're self doubting, or where you are not loving yourself, or where you're hating yourself, you can remember that, oh, this is just a hurdle. This is a challenge that I have to face. This is an opportunity for growth. And tomorrow I'll be so grateful that I went through this, because I'll have come out much stronger, and I will be ready for bigger and better and greater things. So this is it for today, for mastering or unveiling hidden insecurities, and how we can at least try to manage those in order to feel better about ourselves and still achieve the dreams that we set out to achieve. I hope you enjoyed it. I will see you guys again next week. Remember to share, like, and subscribe, no matter where it is that you listen to the podcast, so that you don't miss any new uploads. And remember to lead with kindness, guys, because we are all going through shit right now. And we do not need another piece of shit to make our lives worse. Thank you so much for tuning in. I love you, and I'll see you again next time. Bye.